Hi guys, so I am going to put up a review of all of the stuff that we went over with quadratics. So we did 5 topics. We did quadratic formula, we did applications of quadratics, we did key attributes of quadratics, writing quadratics, and then finally we did translation and vertical compression, vertical stretch. So I'm going to go over just like one problem with each topic, just to kind of refresh your memory on it before you take a test on this or go to the EOC. Hopefully this will help you review. Okay, so I'm going to start with quadratic formula. So there it is. We have an equation here. I'm actually going to do number 2 because this one is a little bit more difficult than this one. This one's already set up. You got 0 on one side and all of your terms on the other side. This one is not set up like that. So you might have one like that on the test. So let's go over how you would deal with that. So you're going to put a line down the equal sign. I like to do that so you can see which is one side and which one is the other side. Okay, so I need to move all of these to the other side of the equal sign. So the way I do that is I do inverse operations. So if this is positive k, this is going to become negative k, so I can move it over here. And then, oh, oops, sorry. Let me fix that. Okay, so I got minus k on both sides. I'll cancel this out. I'll rewrite it as 15 equals 2k squared minus k. From there, I'm still not done. I want one side to be equal to 0 and one side to have all the terms on it. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. So cancel. I'll get 0, and I'll get 2k squared minus k minus 15 on this side. All right, so I have all my terms on one side. I need to now identify A, B, and C. So my A is always going to be the thing that's in front of the variable that's squared, so that my A is 2. My B is always going to be the thing that's in front of the variable to the power of 1, so just the variable with no 2 or greater. So this number right here, you don't see a number because it's 1, so it's negative 1. So this is going to be B is negative 1. And then my C value is that number that's by itself that doesn't have any variable attached to it. So C is negative 15. So now I'm just going to put that into my formula. So my formula, remember, is x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times ac over 2a. Okay, so I got my formula. I'm just going to plug the numbers in. So I like to put parentheses where my letters are going to go, because what I'm really going to do is I'm going to put my numbers in for the letters. So this just kind of tells me where I'm putting those numbers. Okay, so let's use this as reference. So both of these are b's. So the number that goes in here is the b value, which is negative 1. So I'm going to put negative 1 here, negative 1 here. This is A and C, so my A value goes here, my C value goes here. My A is 2, I'll put here. My C is negative 15, I'll put that here. And then my A, right, my A is going to go there. So that's 2. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to simplify this. I'm going to go ahead and simplify it into 2 separate equations, because if you noticed, this says plus minus. That really means plus and minus. There's really 2 equations here. We just work it out all together at the beginning, and then we break it apart later, just to save writing. So one of these is going to be the plus, and one of these is going to be the minus. So I'm going to go ahead and start writing this out. So negative and a negative, that makes a positive. So we'll have positive 1 plus something. We're going to deal with that in a second. But all this number over 2 times 2, which is 4. And then over here, we're going to have 1, this time minus. And then whatever we figure out here in a second, all over 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, so for this part, what I want you to do is I want you to take all these numbers that are under the radical. So all these numbers right here under the radical, take all those and put in your calculator. So you're going to turn it on. You go to A, and you're going to put in -1 squared minus 4 times 2 times -15. Okay, and we get positive 119. So we're going to put that, now we're going to actually put that under the radical. So we'll take Control and then hit that square root button right there. So Control square root button, and I'll put 119 under that. Okay, so this is not a whole number. That means that we're just going to leave it like this in the radical. So we're going to put square root of 119 and square root of 119. So you might see your answer like this, or you might see it in decimal form. So to get the decimal form, I want you to take this number up above, put that in your calculator first. So you're going to put 1 plus second square root of 119. Find that number. Now take that number and divide it by 4. And what you get is your decimal for that root. So 2.98 here. And now I'll do this one. 1 minus square root of 119. All divided by 4. This becomes -2.48. All right. So those are your two possible answers that you might have. So you're not going to have both, but you might have it in this form or you might have it in this form. These are both the same answer. Okay. So that was your quadratic formula example. If you want to see it, the whole thing is right here. You could pause it right there if you needed to. Okay, so we're going to go on to this next one. The next topic was applications of quadratics. So you had, this one is feet, this one is meters. Okay, so what this does, these equations, what they do is that they find the height at any given point on your quadratic curve. So when you throw a ball or kick a ball into the air, it's going to go up and it's going to come down. Okay, these equations describe this kind of motion. So at any given time, this equation should tell you how high this ball or whatever the object is in the air. Okay, so if a ball is kicked on a 20-meter hill at a velocity of 60 meters per second, what will be the equation for the height of the ball at any given time? Okay, so my hill is 20 meters. So that is going to be my initial height, right? Because remember, this is initial height. And this is your velocity, initial velocity. Okay, so those two things are the things that you need to get out of the word problem. So I've found my initial height. So I'm going to put here initial height equals 20. And my initial velocity is 60. So I found both those things. Now I need to figure out what equation am I going to use. Am I going to use feet or am I going to use meters? Well, in the question, it talks about meters. So I know that I'm going to use this equation right here. So to make my equation, which is one of my questions, right, what will be the equation for the height of the ball at any given time? Okay, so my equation is going to be h equals -5t squared plus VO, which is going to be 60, t plus my HO, which is 20. So put that here. Okay, now I can translate that into y and x, right? Because in the calculator, you're not going to use y and t, you're going to use y and x, right? You're not going to use h and t, you're going to use y and x. So I'd put y equals -5x squared plus 60x plus 20. All right, so this is the point where you put in the calculator. Hopefully you have a graphing calculator where you are. You're going to go to on, you'll go to new document, you'll say no to save, you'll go to add graph. Now you'll put in negative 5x squared plus 60x plus 20. Hit enter. Okay, now right now it just looks like a line. Now, you might have put something in wrong, but probably not. Probably you need to go to menu and zoom in. So you're going to go to menu, you go down to zoom, hit enter, you'll go down to zoom fit, enter. Okay, so I got a nice curve here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to answer my questions now. What will be the height at 4 seconds? Okay, so that's a table question. It'll be easiest to use the table for this. So you're going to go to Control, which is your yellow button, and then T. That'll bring up the table. So remember, my height is going to be the Y's, and my time is going to be the X's over here. So at 4 seconds, so I'm going to go down here at 4 seconds, it's going to be 180 meters. I'm going to put that. And then it says, what is the maximum height and when does it reach it? Okay, so I could kind of look in my table for that, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and find that from the graph. So I'm going to get rid of the table. To do that, you're going to go to Control T again. That'll get rid of the table. And then from here, you're going to go to Menu. You'll go to Analyze Graph. Hit Enter. You'll go to Maximum. Okay, and this is where you're going to set your boundaries. So this is on one side of the vertex, so that's good. I'll hit Enter. Then I'll use my finger to just brush across the mouse pad to get to the other side of the vertex, and I'll hit Enter again. And it gives me now my maximum, which is my maximum height. Okay, so at 6 seconds, it will be at 200 meters. Okay. Okay, next question. Does it get to a height of 25 meters? If so, when? Okay, for that I need to go back to the table, so I'm going to do Control T to get the table back. Okay, so just in case you didn't hear that, so it's Control and then T, this letter down here. Okay, so you got your table. So I want to know what, or does it get to 25 meters high? So I'm going to look at my height. I'm going to see if I have 25. Okay, so if you look, you have 20 and you have 75 here, but you don't have 25. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the step of the graph. So I'm going to go to Menu. I'm going to go to Table. Oops. Enter. I'll go to Edit Table Settings. And it was close to 0, I know, so I'm going to just go ahead and start at the table at 0. Table start, just you can tell it where to start. I want it to start at 0, and then my step of the graph, I want that to be 0.1. And I'll hit Enter. Okay, so you see this has a height of 25.95. Well, you know what? That's close enough. If on your test you need to get lower, you need to actually get it more exact, you can go back to your table settings and change it to 0.01 step if you want to. But this is sufficient for us. This is pretty close. So we'll say at about 0.1 seconds. Okay, but remember, this is just it going up. It still needs to come down. So there's going to be another time where it's coming down. So instead of going down all the way to where it's close to hitting the ground, I'm going to go back to Menu. I'm going to hit Table again. I'm going to change my table settings to be 1 again, so that I don't have to do too much work when I'm trying to get to that other part where it's close to the ground after it's been in the air. Okay, so I should have told it to start at 0, but anyhow, I'm trying to get to where, hold on.